It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Jakub Kubryński, who is a passionate Java developer, a founder of the DevSKiller, a place where you can test yourself how good developer are you, a place where your employer could test you how good really are you, because some people say they are very good, but they are not. And he will talk about effective delivery and how to do software the right way. Welcome, Jakub.
Thank you very much. It's great to be there at this great event. Here is my contact details. So if someone of you want to contact me as a follow-up after this session, you can follow me on Twitter, ping me on Twitter, send me an email, and I will be glad to help you. Okay, I'm doing the software professionally for over 12 years, and during this presentation, I want to share with you my experiences. So what happens that some of my projects were successful, and what happens that some of them were not, okay? So generally, the problem is that when you ask just average random developer what does he do on a daily basis, he will describe something that looks similar to the vehicle visible on the slide. Yeah? And the problem is that after some time, generally needed to in fact, build a spaceship, we are producing something which is looking more like this, okay? And why does it happen? Okay, so now I want to go through all the stages of the software development, of the software delivery, and think what can fail and what led us to failing on different steps, okay? So generally, the problem is that when customer or client gets something like this, he should just transfer it to this source repository, okay? And why customers are not doing that? Because they've spent a lot of time and they spend a lot of money to deliver something, so now the fun begins. Now we are starting to maintain this software, which means we are adding a lot of if statements, okay? We are hacking the model, and we are trying to just give this software a chance to work correctly, okay? So there is a lack of some information in the database. We need to add, let's say, the loyalty card number, but there is no column for loyalty card number. So we are starting to think in the wrong direction, which means, what does it mean that this is a loyalty card number? It's just a string, okay? 10 characters. Oh, it's similar to social security number, and social security number is not needed in this transaction. So you should remember that if it's transaction type A, then in a social security number, there is no social security number, but it's the loyalty card number, and everything is working, okay? We don't need to extend the database, and all data fits. And okay, so why does this happening? Okay, at the beginning, at the very beginning of the software project, the source project, we need to choose the right technology. Okay, so we are doing something that is called the POC, the proof of concept. But what does it mean that I need to prove the concept? It means that I already made a decision, and now I need to defend this decision before my teammates. Okay, so if you need to set up a new project, which technologies will you use? The technology that I want to play with, okay? Not the technology that is right for this project. That is not important. I just want to use Elasticsearch here. Why? Because I haven't used Elasticsearch for now. So, and guys on the conferences are telling me that Elasticsearch is cool, so I will use Elasticsearch in this project, okay? So that's the problem. I'm doing a POC, so I already made a decision, and I need to change it. I need to change it to a spike. So I need to evaluate the technology, but really evaluate, not, you know, then play with the weights of some particular, let's say, spreadsheet in which I'm putting the pros and cons of each technologies. I need to do it for real. So I need to verify if this particular technology suits my project well. Does it suit the most easiest parts? And is it able to solve the most tricky elements for this project? Okay, so we do spikes instead of POCs. And something that is common for the project managers or for the company management is something that we call the silver bullet. How many of you heard about the silver bullets? Raise your hands. Okay, just like 20%. So generally, the silver bullet means that, okay, we were doing some project, and we used the technology X, and this project was successful. So now every project will be done with the technology X, because it gives us the chance that the project will be successful. And that's bullshit, generally, okay? When you take a look at the HFT project, so the high-frequency trading, they are using Java. So are they stupid? They need high performance. They need really fast software, and they are using Java instead of C++. They are probably stupid, yeah? Or no? No, they are really smart guys. And why they are using Java? Because they are smart, okay? They know that there is something called the 80-20 rule, okay? The 80-20 rule can be applied in many different places in software development. And as well, it applies to the software performance, which tells us that the 80% of the software performance comes from the 20% of the code. So they are just hiring really smart Java developers to implement those 20% of the code in really high performance way. They are using a lot of native code, etc. Okay, and the rest is just written by a normal Java developers, which means they are not following the stereotypes that, okay, fast C++, fast delivery Rails, or something like that. Yeah, they are just doing it in the right way. So, okay, so here we will tune this software, and the rest will be written in Java, because Java allows us to get a better time to market than a C++. Okay, so do not follow the stereotypes, and do not follow the silver bullets, because there are no silver bullets, even in the movies, even in the software delivery, okay? So if we know that we shouldn't follow the silver bullets, so not every project should be written in Rails, then we are starting to learn, and we are learning continuously. So if you are learning continuously and you are reading books, then you can read books which is, for example, like rewriting your front end every 6 weeks, okay? Because new JavaScript framework comes every 6 weeks. So, okay, so we were using Angular, now we are using React, and now we are going to use something else, etc., 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 okay? So there is a lot of knowledge about the architecture, about the technologies, etc. For the last 2 years, everyone is talking about the microservices, okay? But I saw just a few companies that really are able to set up the microservice architecture. But everyone is talking about that, and no one is doing that, yeah? So that's the problem, that we are trying to continuously learn, but also we need to verify those. So that's why we need those spikes, okay? And another problem is that when we are often relating the software development to the engineering, okay? But is it correct? Is it correct that we are talking about the software architects, okay? When you think about the building, creating a building or designing a building is something that is really known, okay? And generally, Agile doesn't apply to building a skyscraper. Why? Because in normal building, we need to get the foundations, then we need to get the walls, and then the roof, okay? There is no possibility to start building the house from the roof, okay? But it's possible with software development, okay? If we need to start an MVP, we don't need a database, okay? We just need a front end to show it to our potential customers and ask about their feelings, etc., okay? So all the Agile methodologies are talking us that solve the current pain only, not the pain that you expect to appear in 3 years, because you have no idea what will happen in 3 years, okay? So generally, if you start thinking about building software as an engineering, it will help, okay? So if we don't need a software architect, who will get their role, okay? So there is a concept of software gardener. Of course, it looks stupid on a business card that I'm a principal software gardener, okay? I want to be a principal software architect. But just leave the business cards alone and think about what does it mean to design a garden, okay? When you are building a skyscraper, you are designing it, building, and that's all. Your job is done, okay? When you are designing the garden, we are not, just drawing every stone and every tree on the paper. We are just saying, okay, so here let's try to put some stones, here let's get some flowers, etc. Okay, and we are doing it in an agile way. Okay, so I need some shadow here, so let's put another tree here. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that when you are finishing the garden and the garden is already set up, then the fun begins, because we need to maintain this garden, okay? We need to cut the grass. We need to just throw away some unwanted stuff or something like that, okay? And the same happens in software. When we are finishing the software and it's already built and it's put on production, then we need to maintain this software, okay? It's similar like with the garden. And when you stop thinking about the engineering, then you are changing your expectation and changing your mindset. That's why I think the software gardener is something that's most suitable in the software delivery than the architecture, okay? When we, also what comes from the software architecture, it shows us that we already know everything about the project, because we have great architect, the principal architect, and he knows everything. He has described all the single column in database, even if we don't have already the requirements, but that's not a problem for architect. He already knows the model, and the requirements is just not important for him, okay? So because we know everything, we can just start to estimate the project. So we are estimating the project, and we are really optimistic about that. We are usually estimating only development side. So bugs, what are bugs? My code always works. I don't need to test it. I don't need to fix it. Just development, okay? And after a few months, in the middle of the project, I already know that it's impossible to be on time with this project. But am I going to the project manager and say, okay, sorry, we won't make it. It's not possible to be on time. No, we are saying, okay, so we'll do some over hours, we'll hire two new developers, and we'll be on time, okay? And when there is 1 month to the project deadline, and we see that there is 80% of the project left, are we saying, okay, so sorry, we won't make it? No, we need to hire 20 more developers because we need to be on time, and we will be on time, okay? No, you don't, you won't. So what can we do when we see that, okay, we failed? Our estimations were too optimistic, and we won't be on time. We can try to prioritize the backlog. We can say to the customer, okay, sorry, dear customer, but we won't make it on time. So please tell us which functionalities are the most important for you, and we will focus on those the most important. And if we will be able to deliver something else, then it's great. But otherwise, let's assume that we'll do only the most important things. And what's funny, that many customers, after you deliver those most important things, are saying, okay, I know that there is 70% features left, but we don't need them. Generally, this software is working, it's okay. I don't want to pay any more money for that. And that's okay. Customer gets what he needs, not what he wanted, okay? Because customer always want everything. And when you just delivering something in the agile way, that, okay, so here is something that we have created so far. Is it okay? Yeah, it's okay. Okay, we can change somewhere here, etc. But customers say, okay, that's generally all what we need. We don't want those projects. Okay, that's enough, totally enough. So that's also something cool, because we can just move to another project, okay? Which is also cool because we can play with the new technologies here. Okay, and many times we are saying, yeah, generally you are right, but in this project, it was really hard to write the tests. But I always write the test, just except this project, because this project was hard, something, and there were no time, etc. There is no something like no time to write the test. The problem is that writing tests is hard. And we, as the developers, we don't like to do hard things. we want to play with technologies. I want to play with Elasticsearch, not implement the unit tests. My code always works. I don't need tests, and testing is hard. So I will just skip it, and I will say that I had no time. Okay? Okay. What is next important thing is another principle of Agile means that do small changes. Why small changes? Because if I'm doing small changes, it's easier to test it. Okay? If you are doing small changes, and if you are releasing just small bunches of features on the production, then you probably even don't need a performance test. Okay? And the performance or load tests are really hard to do, and they are really expensive. And if you are releasing once per 6 months, there's a lot of changes. So there is a big chance that your performance will degrade so much that the software won't work on production. But if you are releasing projects or software every 2 days, there is just a small chance that there will be huge performance degradation. So generally, it's enough to monitor the performance on production using software like New Relic, AppDynamics, or Dripstat, or something like that, and continuously monitor the performance on the production instead of doing the load test, which means not doing the load test means the project will be cheaper and will be delivered faster because there is no need to set up really expensive and long-running tests. Okay. Another important thing is the tools. Okay. Why tools? When you ask the mathematician how he solves the problem, he's not thinking about how to count the integral. Okay. Why? Because it's just a tool for him to solve something which is more complex, to solve the problem. And the same applies to software developers. Okay. We are not allowed to think how to do something. We need to focus on what to do, okay? If I'm just thinking, okay, so which keys should I press to extract the method, then after a few minutes, why I wanted to extract this method, I don't remember anymore, okay? So you should train your skills applied to the tools like IDE, source, repository, etc., to that level that those tools will be transparent for you, okay? You are not thinking about how to use the tool. It just comes from your muscles, okay? When you do pair programming with some really experienced developers, he's doing some cool stuff, and you're asking, how have you do that? And he said, I don't know. Just look at my hands, and I will try to do it one more time, okay? And he's doing it really fast, but he don't know even which keys he is hitting. It's just from his muscles, okay? It's transparent for him. And if you want to be really good developers, you need to get your tools transparent for you, okay? It's just a tool. It's not the root of your job. Also, how many of you heard about the dry rule? Okay, so dry rule means don't repeat yourself. But is it really to don't repeat myself, or is it to don't repeat anyone? Okay, I think it's more than don't repeat anyone. Why? Because if there is already some tool which exports the, I don't know, rules to the F5 firewall, why should I write it from scratch? Why cannot I use something that is open source by the community, maintained by the community, etc.? You are not implementing database, okay? You are just using the MariaDB, as we already know, yeah? You are not doing writing your database from scratch because it makes no sense, okay? It applies to many other things, but we often forget about it, okay? Every PHP developer I asked was starting with his own CMS framework, ORM framework, etc. Okay, and then they are starting using the better ones. Okay, but it needs time to remember. Okay, I shouldn't write it. I should use something that is already on the market. And what is also related to this dry, it's Yagni. It means you ain't gonna need it. Okay, so don't write something that you think you will need in 2 years. Because it's not important now. You are not solving the current pain. you are just solving the imaginated pain that will appear in 2 years, which makes no sense because it's not the agile way. Okay? We don't need to waste time for something that will appear in 2 years. Also, what is related to it, it's premature optimization. Okay? What does it mean, the premature optimization? The agony is something that we can call premature coding. And premature optimization means that don't try to optimize the code if you are not sure that this particular code needs optimization. Why? Because optimizing the code often means that we are just making this code less readable. And we don't want our code to be less readable because it's less maintainable. Okay? So that's the problem. And finally, we definitely should focus and think about the quality, okay? Because quality is something that we need in a long term. But remember that with great power comes great responsibility. We can stop the project because there are no enough unit tests. The rules are violated or something like that. But is it important? I think yes and no. Why? Because something that drives our project is innovation. Innovation is something which gives us the money, okay? Which gives us the customer. And the code quality, the standards, is something that stops you from falling down, okay? So what is the most important is innovation. You should drive your software and then improve the standards to keep it on the right level, not in the opposite direction, okay? Because you can focus on standards, but it means you will be here. If you will focus on innovation, you will get here, and then it's time to apply the standards. So what is the most important is delivering business value, okay? So business value is the most important thing because it gives us the money to improve the quality standards. Okay, thank you very much. Do we have time for a few questions? Okay, are there any questions? Okay, so if you will have any questions, I will be walking somewhere here. So thank you very much.